Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for Glee Season 6, Episode 6, What the World Needs Now. And this episode, I was definitely looking forward to, because last week's episode, I really enjoyed overall. I thought it was a very well done episode, and I was looking forward to this episode. And this episode was still a very good episode. I thought it was a good episode overall, but it had a lot of problems, and that's simply because this was a tribute episode, and we all know what those tribute episodes means. Also, there were a lot of things this episode did that it had a lot of problems with, but I'm going to get to it. There were two plots in this episode, and let's just get to it. So, we're first going to talk about Rachel and Sam, which I know is annoying everyone, but I'm going to talk about Rachel's storyline because I actually really like what they're doing on Rachel's character this season. And that is that Rachel is realizing that she is, one of the things I love about Rachel this season is how independent she is, how she's so much more mature, how she doesn't want to, rush into. I just really like what they're doing with her character because the first scene in this episode, we see Rachel and Sam, and they're really going through an awkward stage right now. They're going through an awkward stage of, are we friends or are we more than that? And I thought it was a very well done scene what they actually end up doing with them. Because basically Rachel and Sam, they don't know really what to do here because, Sam's telling Rachel that they had a date and he wasn't sure if they were going to go on the date or whatever. And it seems like they're getting along and everything, and you see the song called I'll Never Fall in Love Again. I think it's really supposed to show that Rachel does not really want to find love right now. They're really in a very awkward stage, and it's understandable why, because Sam clearly does have feelings for Rachel, but at the same time, it could just be because Sue hypnotized him, and now he feels he does. And while as ridiculous as this storyline started, I actually really do like it, because it actually, I think, is a well-done story. I know a lot of people are not liking it, but it's really different than any other relation we've seen with Rachel, because for once, it's not Rachel chasing some guy. It's not that. Rachel, I don't think, really has much interest in Sam. She really doesn't. It seems like she and Sam, she really just wants to be friends with Sam, because honestly, I don't feel Rachel really wants a boyfriend right now. I really don't, and I like seeing that because she ends up actually canceling her date with Sam. She tells him straight out that she doesn't really want to be with him, and they're not to they don't really know what to do. And I thought overall that was very well done. I like that she ended up canceling her date with Sam because she had to. I mean, not that she had to, but I thought it was still very well done that she did that because she doesn't really want to because I don't want them to rush this relationship. As I said, I will support Rachel and Sam if they handle it well. And at this moment, I think they're handling it well. I do, because they're not focusing on it a ton. Because this season's not about Rachel and Sam. It's about Rachel being independent and seeing her journey. And I like the way this episode goes. Now, there is one thing that really did piss me off about this episode. Rachel and Kurt gave the Glee Club the assignment of the music of Burt Bacharach, who is actually a very good composer. I did not realize how good his songs were before this episode. I did not realize that. And the songs that he did are very well done. I didn't know all the songs that he did, but basically they tell them that they need to perform these songs as their daily assignment, and my problem with this episode is that we don't see any of those performances. In fact, the newbies are basically how they were in the second half of season 5. They're sidelined, they're to the side, they're not getting much focus, and that's not the issue for me. My issue is that we didn't see one single performance from them, minus one thing that had nothing to do with the Glee Club, and when you give an assignment, I expect and you actually give me a scene that is important, I expect to see some sort of relevance, and expect to see at least some performances. There's not a single performance from any newbie in this episode, and it kind of was a little bit disappointing. I would have at least wanted to see performance. That's why I didn't really have a problem with episode 3 when they weren't focusing on the newbies as much, because at least they gave them a song. At least we saw that, they're still doing stuff. I want to see them at least get a song. That's all I want. That's really all I really want to see from the newbies. I don't care if you don't give them storylines. At least give them songs, because that's really what I want to see from them. But they end up recruiting Mercedes to be a mentor because they have 5 weeks till sectionals. And basically they have recruited Mercedes, and she is planning on working with the New Directions. And I really love Mercedes' character in this episode. Honestly, Mercedes' character, I really love seeing the return of Mercedes in this episode. I know a lot of people get upset because they don't mention why Mercedes just randomly comes back into the picture. They don't really mention why she's back. but I think she's back. We pretty much know why she's back, because at first it seemed like she's back because she's jealous of Rachel and Sam, because she asked Rachel straight out, what's going on between you and Sam, what's the future of your relationship and everything. She really doesn't like that these two are together. She doesn't want them together. She doesn't like any idea of it, and she really just wants them to be, she really doesn't know what's going on there. But what I like about Mercedes is that she's not jealous about it. She's not. She is basically moved on from him, because we find out something in this episode. But then we transition to a scene, and I really like what this ends up being. It ends up being a conversation really about Rachel going back to Broadway. That's really what this is all about. It's not about Rachel and Sam. It's about Rachel going to Broadway, because Mercedes tells Rachel that she is getting too ahead of herself, that she needs to stop focusing so much on the Glee Club and focus more on New York. And, I mean, I can understand why Mercedes is saying this, because, Rachel seems very gun-shy. She doesn't want to do this. She seems like she doesn't feel like she should be. She's worried about the kids and everything. You can tell there's something more, though, and Mercedes then sings to her this song, Baby It's You, to try to get her to, just try to get her back to, on Broadway. And this starts my problem this episode for me, and that is that there were too many songs in this episode. This song in particular could have easily been cut. I did not understand the point of this song or the relevance of this song. I understand it was a way to coax Rachel back to New York, but it ultimately does nothing. And I just felt like this song was just kind of pointless. It didn't seem to really have any effect on the story. And for me, when you do a musical TV show or any kind of musical, your song should at least advance the plot somewhat. Even in musicals, the songs they do, they at least have something to do with the plot. And this literally just seemed like they shoehorned a song in there for Mercedes to do, so Mercedes had a song to do. That's really what it seemed like to me. It didn't seem like they really needed this song in there. And in my opinion, they really did not need this song in there. I felt like this episode was extremely rushed because of how many songs were in this episode. And it really was an issue for me because of that, because I really wanted to really like this episode. While I really did like the episode, I just felt like this was very, very rushed, and it really did bother me. And Rachel tells her straight out that she does not want to go back to Broadway, that she's just not ready for it. And I like where that's heading, because I think it's well done. But as I said, I would have wanted to see some more with the Glee Club focus. Also, Britney and Santana are randomly back in the Glee Club, and they don't explain why they're back, because it's not like they explained why they're back, because, they are basically there to plan their wedding. That's why they're back, but they don't explain why they're back in the Glee Club. They're not helping them out or anything, so why are they back there? It seems like they had all these things that they were doing, and they didn't have explanations for them, and I want to see at least some sort of explanation for them. Definitely that's really all I want to see. And I try not to complain too much about Glee, because, Glee overall is just a fun show, but when you have songs, I want them to be at least somewhat relevant to the plot, and they really weren't in this sense. So Mercedes can tell that Rachel does not really want to do this. She doesn't want to go back to Broadway and everything, so she decides to recruit some of the guys to help Rachel out. She recruits Artie, who is, I'll talk about Artie when we get to Britney's plot, because he had a random thing with Britney, but basically Artie and also Blaine is coming back, which Kurt is very skeptical about. But a lot of people are saying that Kurt and Blaine didn't really have any development. The only development they really get in this episode is that Kurt is very nervous about Blaine coming back to help out Rachel. He's very nervous about that. Kurt has nothing to do in this episode, which honestly really disappointed me, because, Kurt is basically the second main character of the show. You need to give him some sort of relevance on this show. Seriously, Kurt has been given some very good stuff this season, and to see him not have a lot to do was very disappointing, because I like seeing Rachel and Kurt work together. Now, I do agree with what people said last week. A lot of people said that they think Rachel should be running the show without Kurt, and I can understand why, but honestly, I want to see Kurt, because I love Rachel and Kurt together. I think they've always been my favorite duos, and they just work so well together, and I really do like the idea of them. So basically, she plans on getting Rachel back to Broadway to help her out with everything, and basically, the boys perform this song, Arthur's Theme, which I really liked. It wasn't a very good cover, but it really worked for the scene. It had to be in there, because this really starts to get Rachel to think about New York, think about, her loving New York and how much she misses it. And I love seeing the flashbacks of her in New York, especially the thing with Kurt and when her and Finn broke up and she went to New York. I thought those were very well done overall. And I like seeing those kind of scenes. I like seeing those scenes, with Mercedes trying to get her back to New York. I thought that was overall very well done. And I thought the song that they performed was very good. Roderick and Spencer are randomly in there. Mason's there too. But that's all the focus the newbies are getting. It's kind of disappointing me that that's really all they're getting. So I like that overall, but it just seemed like they didn't know what to do with them, so they didn't give them too much to do. So, they didn't give them too much to do. But whatever. Artie's back as well, and this really convinces Rachel that, yeah, maybe she should go back to Broadway, and maybe this is the right thing for her. So I like seeing that overall, and so after this happens, by the way, as you guys can tell, I really was not that focused on this episode. And that's because this episode, well, it wasn't that I wasn't focused on this episode, it's that not too much happened, honestly. While a lot happened, not a lot happened. And it really was one of those episodes where, like, I wanted to see more. And in some ways, I wish more stuff happened, but it didn't happen. And it kind of disappointed me a little bit. So, Sam, I really like what they did with Sam in this episode. I thought this was a well-done scene. Sam is basically, he's writing a song, he's singing the song called They Long Be Close to You, which arguably is Sam's best solo on the show. I think Court Overstreet, this is the best he's ever sounded. I loved his performance of this song. I thought that he sounded amazing here. He really did sound fantastic, honestly. He sounded great here. I thought he was great in this, his performance was fantastic here. And before we get to that, though, I do want to get to probably my favorite scene they have with Rachel in this episode, because I really do love this next scene, what they do with Rachel. Mercedes and Rachel talk, and Rachel talks about how she's very worried that she's going to mess up, and basically Mercedes tells her that there's a Broadway audition available for her that she can audition with, and she's very worried that she's going to mess up and choke. And what I like about this scene is Rachel's journey, and I know that some people were upset with this, seeing this because, it's all about, just motivating Rachel. No, it's not about that. It's about seeing why Rachel is so upset about this, and I can understand why. I mean, Rachel has had so much heartbreak. Think of what Rachel's gone through with Broadway in the past. She's choked, she almost didn't get into NIADA, she was on Broadway, and then she, left from the TV show, so she's very worried that things are not going to end well for her, and I like seeing Rachel be worried, because honestly, she says how a few years ago she would have been a lot more confident, and she would have, not even hesitated, she would have gone back to Broadway no matter what, and she wouldn't have even thought about not going, and basically she ends up, basically, I like that because it really shows development with her character. It shows how far Rachel has come, and I agree with what people are saying, that this is the best Rachel's ever been written. Really, it is. She's not annoying. She's not irritating. This is the Rachel we need to see, and I love seeing this side of Rachel, because it's the Rachel that I love. The Rachel that's unsure about herself, and the Rachel that doesn't know if she should be doing what she's doing and is not completely overconfident. This is the Rachel we need to see. And I think last season, the Rachel we saw last year, that's not Rachel. This right here, this is character development, and I love that. So she tells Mercedes that she is going to audition, and she goes back to New York, and she sings Promises, Promises, and it was by far probably my favorite song in the episode. I thought it was extremely well done. It really reminded me of the season 5 New York episode. She goes to New York. She plans on auditioning for this song, with the song Promises, Promises. I would have wanted to know at least what show she's auditioning for. They don't say, but I would have at least wanted to know. I don't know if they mentioned it or not, but I didn't hear anything about what show she was auditioning for, so she auditions for this show, and we'll have to see what happens there. But what I like about this is that she is not forgetting her true destiny. While right now her mission is to recruit the Glee Club, her real passion is Broadway, and she needs to not forget about that. And I like seeing that in this episode. I thought that was very well done. So then we go to Sam, and as I said, I really like what they did with Sam here, because Sam, we can see that he still cares about Mercedes. He sings this song, as I said, They Long Be Close to You, which, as I said, is the best he's ever sounded. Really, it honestly probably is Sam's best solo. Even though it didn't really need to be in the episode, I thought it was very well done what they did with his character. Because I think it's really one of the first times this season where Sam hasn't been a complete idiot. Because really, a lot of this season, Sam has been an idiot. They've been writing him terribly, and I think this was one of those scenes. they're those rare scenes, and it seems like the scenes that Mercedes and Sam have together where he's not an idiot. He's a smart guy, and I liked about Sam. He tells Mercedes that he sings a song to her, and Mercedes tells him that she's basically moved on from him and how they are he's officially friend zoned, and he feels okay with it. He feels okay this is happening, and he asks her if she's okay with him and Rachel, and she says that, yeah, she is okay with it. And I like that she tells him that he should move on and date other people. And I like that she tells him to date other people because he really should. I mean, going after Rachel, I don't think is a smart move because I honestly don't feel Rachel wants anything to do with him. I don't. I feel Rachel just wants to be friends with him, and that's what I like about it. I think Sam is just so, confident that he likes Rachel because of what Sue did to them, that now he has this in his head that him and Rachel have a future together, and they really don't. And I like seeing Mercedes tell him that he needs to back off because, I mean, Rachel, essentially, it seems like wants nothing to do with wants nothing to do with him. So I thought that was very well done. I definitely really enjoyed that. And, yeah, so I really like what they did with Sam there. And basically, it seems like him and Rachel, it seems like they are going to, it seems like they're gonna be friends right now. I like seeing what they're doing in them overall. I thought that was, well done, and, I liked it overall. I thought that was good. So, that's really all we get with Rachel's plot tonight, which was kind of disappointing, honestly. I wish we would have gotten a little bit more with that, but we really didn't get anything with her plot besides that, and it's because of how rushed the episode was. As I said about it, and my problem with this episode is not Rachel's plot. I actually think that was very well handled. The second plot of the night, though, was a mess. I'm sorry. Britney and Santana's plot was an absolute mess. It was a complete mess. They had a good idea. It just did not work overall. I thought that they had some good ideas here, but it was a complete mess, and it didn't ruin the episode for me because I like what they were trying to do essentially, but they had way too many songs in their plot. First of all, it's all about Britney and Santana getting married now. They're thinking about this, and, let's first talk about that very weird scene with Britney's parents. Now, I will say this. I like the girl that's playing Britney's mom. I think, who is playing Britney's mom? Jennifer Coolidge as Whitney. I think is a very good actress. I think she's very funny in this. But the reveal that Britney's father is Stephen Hawking was pointless. It never went anywhere. I didn't see the point of it. I understand, and I don't know if you guys know this, but this is Heather Morris and Naya Rivera's second to last episode on the entire show. So I understand they want to give her character closure, but you didn't have to explain that. I don't care why Britney has her math powers. I really don't. I could honestly give two shits about that. What I care about is seeing these two getting married and seeing them get the wedding they deserve. That's what I cared about. I didn't care that we had Britney wanting to get married. I didn't care that we had this whole why Britney has math powers. They don't really focus too much on that because she talks to the two of them, and basically, I don't even want to talk about that. Pierce wasn't really her father. I did find it funny that his name was Pierce. That was really funny, but overall, that just did not work for me at all, and it was kind of pointless, and I just didn't see the point of it. But as far as what the rest of the episode, I enjoyed what they did, but it still was a little bit of a mess. And she tells her parents that her and Santana are getting married. They're very happy for her, and I like seeing that because, I mean, Santana's parents, while they are happy, of course, we know what's going on with Santana's grandmother. So Brittany talks to Artie and tells him that she wants him to be their wedding planner, and honestly, I like that idea. And while it was a good scene, it seemed pointless. It really did. Wishing and Hoping was a really good performance from Heather Morris, but the context that it was in, it didn't need to be in there. And before, when I listened to this soundtrack, this was one of my favorite songs of the episode because of how good Heather Morris sounded. She really has sounded the best she has this season. Arguably, everyone has sounded the best they have this season. Honestly, the only person that sounds tired is I don't think Darren Criss is sounding as good as he has. I think he's doing a good job this season, but his voice I think he's been doing too much that he's really the only one that's like, he hasn't improved. But everyone else is like just killing it this season. And I think that song was a very good song overall. I like Wishing and Hoping. I thought it was a good song. That's not my problem with the scene. My problem is that it was kind of pointless because it really goes nowhere. It's all about how she just wants Artie to be the wedding planner, and he talks to her about heaven, and he tells her that might be the theme of the wedding, and I think that's a good idea overall. I'm looking forward to seeing, their wedding and everything. I like seeing that. And then we have a really nice scene with Santana and Britney that I really, really enjoyed seeing. I love that we're seeing these scenes with Santana and Britney because they're just so well done. And Naya Rivera and Heather Morris have such good chemistry in these scenes. And they really do get better and better as the seasons go on. And honestly, this season, I think they've had the most chemistry they ever have. They really do have the best chemistry here. Because Santana tells Britney how she's very happy to be marrying her, and they look at the guest list, and Alma, Santana's grandmother, is not on the guest list because they don't want to invite her because, of course, she is against Santana being a lesbian, and Brittany is not okay with it. She thinks that they should try to be able to convince her to get her to basically, support them and everything. And I like what Britney is doing overall. I like what she's trying to do, but the way they handled it, I thought was kind of dumb. I really did. I did not like the way they handled it very much at all. Because basically, Britney goes to Alma, pretends to be this girl, pretends to be like this very famous, like, doctor or nurse or something like that to take care of Alma. And she starts to talk to her and everything. And I mean, her idea was good, but I just thought the way they executed was really dumb overall. She has her do fondue for two. It's like this Spanish version of fondue for two. This might be the first time we saw fondue for two and I didn't laugh. I honestly did not find that scene funny. I'm going to be honest. I did not find fondue for two funny. I thought fondue for two honestly was pointless this episode. Again, it seemed like something they were trying to shoehorn in there because it's, again, Britney and Santana's second to last episode. So it really seemed like it was just something they were trying to shoehorn in there so we had one last fondue for two, which I always like fondue for two, but I thought that was just kind of dumb what they do here because they really don't do anything. And Santana does not like what Britney's doing at all. And you can see that Britney, she doesn't even think that Britney should be friends with Alma, but Britney tells her that's sort of like a reverse psychology thing that she's trying to get her to, she's trying to get her on her good side so maybe she'll support Santana. And I just thought this was kind of dumb overall because, Santana then realizes that it's a good plan and she tells her she loves her and everything. And I thought that was a good scene overall. It just kind of bothered me what they do with it. I do really like what they do in this next scene, though, which honestly I think might just be Naya Rivera's best performance. Britney takes Alma to see Santana sing Alfie, and just, oh my god, Naya Rivera killed it with this song as usual. She always kills it, but this was such an amazing performance. She was amazing in this performance. She's singing this song to Alma to get her to approve of her and Britney, and you can see that Alma's very proud of Santana, that she's become this big star, and just, I thought it was a very well done scene. But Alma tells him straight out that even though she loves Santana, she does not support them. But they will not let up about it. What really bothers me is that they get way too political. That's something I hate about Glee, is that they try to like throw things down your throats. Now, I'm going to say this right now. As I said before, I have no problem with gays and lesbians. If you are gay, lesbian, I'm happy for you. I really am. I think that you are, that's great that you define yourself that way, and I'm happy about that. But I don't like they try to shove it down our throats. I really don't. And I think that the insults was a little bit too much. And I like how Santana reacted to it. That way Britney reacted to it, I thought was way too over the top, and I don't really like this side of Britney. Just when she was talking to Alma in Spanish, that was weird as well. Britney, I like seeing Britney like she was in episode 3. When she was having a conversation with Kurt and she was so much sure about it, that's the Britney I want to see. I don't want to see the Britney that is, just kind of just silly. I don't like that side of Britney. And that's so, like, season 1. Britney's changed so much since then. I don't want to see her like that. I really don't. I don't like seeing that side of Britney. I like seeing the side of Britney that's supportive of Santana. And basically, she tells him straight out she does not want to come to the wedding. But we know in episode 8 that she is coming to the wedding because they released pictures and Alma is at their wedding. So that really makes me think that episode 8 is going to be an amazing episode because it's basically going to be them convincing Alma to come to their wedding, which I'm definitely looking forward to seeing if she does end up coming to their wedding, which we know she is. Now, I think the thing with Alma is just that she does not want to think that it's a good thing. I mean, her values, she doesn't feel it's a good thing, and I like seeing that overall. I think it's a well-done scene. I think it's a well-done plot, and I think they're handling it very well as well. I think the way that they're doing it was very good. It also seemed like they were trying to parody Jane the Virgin in this episode. Just please don't do that. Jane the Virgin is becoming one of my favorite shows on TV. Don't mess with Jane the Virgin. Please don't do that. That's such a good show, and honestly, that show's better than this, but basically, after this happens, Brittany talks to Santana, tells her that they're still going to have a really good wedding and that she's very happy that they're together and everything and that they're going to settle down. And I thought overall that was a good scene. I didn't pay much attention to it, though, because I didn't really care. Because, honestly, I just felt their whole plot was a mess. Really, it was. And the episode ends with all of the Glee Club coming together, and Will. They are all back to support Santana and Brittany. If that had been the plot of this episode, it would have made a lot more sense why Santana and Brittany were in the choir room. If they would have just said, we're throwing a celebration for Santana and Brittany, a bunch of the alumni are coming back, I would have understood that. But that's not why the alumni came back. They came back to support Rachel. And I honestly feel like this episode should have just been them going to support Santana and Brittany and throwing this, like, party for them. The last scene of the episode is honestly what I felt the episode should have been. It really was. Because we see a bunch of the alumni are back. They're all singing to Santana and Brittany What the World Needs Now, which also was Glee's 700 performance, may I mind you. It was a good performance overall, but it did not feel like their 700 performance. To me, this scene, it's very weird. The last scene of this episode felt like the final scene of the entire show. I don't know what it was. It just did. And the way they handled it, I thought was a very well done scene. We see Brittany and Santana go back to their apartment. Blaine is there, which Kurt's happy about. Rachel and Sam are getting close. You can see the Mercedes is genuinely happy for them. And they're all just having a good time. They're laughing. They're supporting Brittany and Santana. And that's basically how the episode ended overall. And I wasn't 100% happy with this episode. A lot of things, as I said, bothered me. They really need to stop focusing. The thing that I loved about the first few episodes of this season, and, episodes 1 to 3, one of the things that I loved about this season, episodes 1 to 3, is that they didn't focus on the songs very much at all. They had songs there, but they focused more on the plot. In this episode, they focused way too much on the songs. And this always happens with the tribute episodes. I can only think of a few tribute episodes where this actually has gone very well. For example, the Michael Jackson episode was a very good episode that I think they handled very well, even though they had a lot of songs in there. They didn't, it didn't manage to hurt the episode at all. It had enough in there for us to stay invested. It was a very well done episode. Another good tribute episode, of course, Rumors from Season 2. That's always a very good one. But it always seems like these tribute episodes, they focus too much on the songs, and they don't focus enough on the actual storylines, which they tried to, but I just felt like they did too much with the songs. If they would have kept Wishing and Hoping and Baby It's You, and maybe even They Love Me Close to You, which was great. It just did not need to be in the episode. I didn't see the point of Sam singing it to Mercedes. I didn't see the point of that. I would have just liked to have a conversation with them rather than him just singing to her. I understand it's a musical show, but you don't really need to have that. And the other performances were great. If they would have had 6 songs, then fine. Never Fall in Love Again, Arthur's Theme, Promises, Promises, these few songs, I'll Never Fall in Love Again, Arthur's Theme, Promises, Promises, Alfie, and What the World Needs Now. I would have been fine with that, because those 5 songs, honestly, were the ones that needs to be in the episode. The other ones really did not need to be in the episode. Next week's episode looks very good, though. Unique is coming back. Coach Beast is coming back as a he. She's no longer going to be a she. She's not going to be a he. But yeah, Unique's coming back next episode, which I'm looking forward to. Rachel and Sam, how do you guys feel about it? Honestly, I feel that they're handling this right. I think Rachel and Sam, I think that Sam needs to be careful with Rachel, because Rachel, I don't think, wants to have a relationship right now. I think that Rachel just wants to be friends with Sam, and he needs to understand that she's very gun-shy and very worried and very nervous about having a boyfriend right now. I like the Mercedes supportive of her. Is Rachel getting into this Broadway show? Would she even audition for? I'd like to know what she at least auditioned for. Are Britney and Santana going to convince Alma to come to their wedding? I'm going to say this right now. I'm calling it right now. I think that their wedding episode is going to be an incredible send-off, because if they convince Alma to come to their wedding, it's going to be such a well-done story arc, and it's going to be extremely well done, and I really think that if they do that, then it could end up being a very well-done storyline. I'm definitely looking forward to see what they do there. But overall, guys, it's my review of the episode. Again, a lot of problems with the episode, definitely. It was definitely not as bad as the Hurt Locker Part 1. Hurt Locker Part 1 is literally Glee on drugs. It literally is. This was not Glee on drugs. They focused on some storylines that I liked, but some of the stuff they focused on I thought was just a little bit too much. I thought some of the stuff in the episode was definitely too much. I felt like they could have done a little bit more with some of the plots. Rachel's plot kind of just went nowhere. She auditioned for a musical, and then it just went away. But Britney and Santana was all over the place. And that's it for my review. Hope you all enjoyed. I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for a movie review. And also, guys, as usual, I know I said this before, but please check out the Stream of Awesome tonight on my good friend, Kane the Planet, Kid of Awesome's YouTube channel. He will be doing Stream of Awesome tonight, so definitely check that out. And, yeah, so that's basically my review. Hope you all enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in my next video. Okay, bye.